Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. And today we will be talking about a theory on what if Toby was the troll hunter all along. First, it is so good to be back. It's been a while and I wanted to come back with a banger of a video. So if you want this video to do well and get to 400 subs, seriously, you guys have been killing it, before this year ends, it would be a real treat. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Now you might be wondering,
why has this idiot done this theory when it's basically already happened?
Well, here's the thing. That's act. Also, this would be a proper redo of the series, so Jim doesn't remember anything about the future this time. So, what changes with this, and more specifically, why is he chosen instead of Jim? Well, I think we can attribute that fact to Kanjigar. Kanjigar, as stated in the lore, became very adept in the workings of the amulet and its abilities, even developing future vision. Perhaps in this timeline, Kanjigar sees far into the future and sees the ultimate fate of the world and the destruction of the natural elements, and decides to leave the fate of the world in simpler hands. He then dies. Jim and Toby get ready for school and make their way to the canals. And instead of Jim's name, it is Toby's name the amulet shouts. The two are initially skeptical, with Toby believing it's some sort of communication device, until he pulls from the rubble the amulet of daylight. This seemingly small change begins to unravel everything behind Jim's initial start as a troll hunter. Why? Well, if you recall, Jim stayed behind in class later that day to talk to who else but Strickler, which tipped him off to Jim being the troll hunter. This time, however, Toby is not immediately discovered to have the amulet, meaning he isn't attacked by Bular or planned for by the Janus Order, expecting that Draw most likely is now the troll hunter. The two friends would make their way through the day as they usually would, and eventually split off from one another and head home. Toby immediately tries to discern what the amulet is and how to use it, stepping into his backyard to test it out. When he does, glowing blue light comes from the ring of the amulet until deciphering into an incantation.
For the glory of Merlin, daylight is mine to command.
Suddenly, light emerges from the amulet, spawning a suit of armor that shapes itself into his body, rising as the new troll hunter. Some canon events, however, would continue to go as they usually would. Toby would call Jim over to his house to show him the amulet's power, and at the same time meet Blinky and Arg for the first time. Thanks to the amulet's different choice in hunters, it allows Toby to remain mostly undisturbed by foreign enemies, as they still have no idea that he is the troll hunter, meaning they can already travel to Troll Market earlier than before the main timeline. Droll is still mad, challenges Toby, who is an even worse fighter than Jim, and shames him in public, later also giving him a reason to stand up to Steve and yada yada yada. So far it's going mostly the same. but without Bula or Strickler's knowledge, however, on him being the hunter. Jim would take Toby's role in all this, being a good friend and helping him train in the arena thanks to his more acrobatic frame, leading Blinky to think of the possibility that Jim should have been chosen. Some people out there may think Toby is a bad fighter if he was chosen, but as we see in the series, Toby becomes very effective in combat and shows off acrobatics in later media, such as in 3 Below. And while it is a different weapon, I think he would adjust to it quickly. So, despite it taking longer, I do believe Toby will become an effective troll hunter, especially with all the free time he is given due to his inconspicuous nature, or big nature. Yeah, that fits more. Slowly, Toby and Jim will begin to grow as warriors in Troll Market, and in the above world, make greater strides to uncover the truth of Bula and Strickler's plan. And after they defeat Nomura in the museum, just like in the main timeline, it finally tips Bula and his minions on the existence of a human troll hunter. This completely throws them off, as their previous plan to lure Troll-in as their previous plan to lure Troll-in and kill him would be ineffective, as he wasn't the one wielding the amulet. Finally got it. Bula would be outraged that a mere human wielded the amulet and recklessly attacked him the next day. But thanks to Toby and Jim's extra training, the two would be able to defend against him and even drive him off, humiliating him. Strickler is utterly thrown back by this news and makes efforts to hinder Toby at school. This proves to weigh on him greatly, as thanks to this extra time, he'd begun a relationship with Jim's mother, Barbara, beginning his redemption and conflicting allegiance a lot earlier in this timeline. Despite setbacks, they would be able to complete Killerhead Bridge and give their master a way to see into the real world. Gunmar, upon learning of Toby's existence, is furious at the incompetence of his forces due to their failings to identify and deal with such a pudgy and soft human. Because of this, Gunmar would, again, force Strickler to capture Jim and lure the Trollhunter to them in order to free him. The reason I say Jim is because he is much closer to them in this timeline, and I don't think it would make a lot of sense for him to just rock up to Toby's home for a meeting. And another thing I'll bring up later. Strickler, though conflicted, obliges under threat of death, arriving at the lakes for a small dinner. The two sides within him fighting against one another. As the dinner continues, he goes with Barbara to help in the kitchen for dessert and pours a drink for them both. In hers is a sleeping spell mixture to knock her out, and returns to the dinner table. Walking behind Jim, he readies his fist to knock out the young lad. But in an instant, Toby, Og, and Blinky come out of fucking nowhere and restrain him. Strickler writhes in their grasp, questioning on how they found out about him. Once restrained, they explain that an accomplice, not Enrique, told them all about the changelings he works for, and so waited for the perfect opportunity to capture one of them. So when Jim told them that Strickler would be making a visit by his house, they thought it would be the perfect time to strike. The four would question Strickler on the location of Killerhead and the plans of Bular. Taken aback by the Trollhunters' coordination and the already conflicting allegiance he has to Gunmar, he reveals the location of the bridge and the plan Bular and his cronies have for Toby. With this knowledge, the group attack Bular in the museum and successfully take down all his allies and dismantle the portal before they could summon Gunmar onto the world. And so, the Killerhead Bridge arc comes to a close, with Toby successfully, and a lot earlier, defeating all of his enemies in this time. When the group returned to Jim's house, they found that Strickler escaped, and now with Bular gone, gave him the perfect opportunity to unleash the ultimate assassin. That's it for this What If video. I mainly tried to keep the broad aspects of the story, because if I went into detail about Droll's trial, the goblins, the wacky adventures that they did during the first half, this would probably turn into a 40-minute video, and I, again, don't really have the time. A lot of stuff is happening in the real world where I am, a lot of tests, but hopefully when it's all done, I'll have a lot more time and I'll pump out a lot more videos. So bear with me, I'm getting around to it. But now, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and may the glory of Merlin be with you always.